Welcome back to Limit Plus, everyone. On this channel, I'm 100%ing Breath of the Wild by a bit every day until Tears of the Kingdom comes out, which is today, in exactly 1 week. In exactly 1 week from when you're seeing this video, Tears of the Kingdom has started to officially release across the world. I think it's already out at this point in New Zealand, Australia, gonna be out in Japan soon. And the game is basically releasing everywhere in the world right now, officially in 1 week. And that's interesting because, and you've probably noticed this if you watch the recent videos, obviously the game is leaked, the comments are disabled. I'm pretty sure some people have probably already beaten it. So it kind of sets us up for this interesting dynamic. But that's just what we're dealing with for the rest of the series. At this point, this is old news. I want to talk about my plans for Tears of the Kingdom speedrunning today. Something that has changed a little bit over the time that we've known about Tears of the Kingdom and what we've known about Tears of the Kingdom. Of course, I'm not going to be talking about any leaks, maybe some preview stuff here and there, just as usual. And yeah, let me get into it. So, before you say anything, which you can't because the comments are disabled, but for real, before you say anything, no, I'm not speedrunning Tears of the Kingdom in my first playthrough. I'm gonna be having a normal first playthrough like most people in the world. I'll play as much as I feel like I want to. I don't know if I'm gonna be getting every single thing. In my first Tears of the Kingdom playthrough, for example, I didn't really bother to get all of the Korok seeds, mainly because it didn't really feel like something I wanted to do. I didn't have fun with it. If you haven't ever collected all of the Korok seeds in Tears of the Kingdom, don't let anyone tell you haven't really completed the game or whatever. It should be fun at the end of the day, and that's what I'm planning to do with Tears of the Kingdom casually. Play as long as I'm enjoying it. That could be a week, could be 2 weeks, it could be a month. We'll see what the game has to offer. But obviously, I am interested in speedrunning it. That's because I enjoy min-maxing games and I want to be part of the early speedrunning, like kind of the early speedrunning findings, I guess. I do really enjoy routing a lot. Some people probably know this from my channel already. I just enjoy optimizing the game, basically. Right, sorry, I was a little bit anxious there because I got attacked by lightning. So and I'm assuming some people have probably already started to do this, which again makes this a little bit weird. Like maybe by the time I do my first playthrough, some sort of a speedrun route already exists, but the meta is going to completely change once everyone gets their hands on the game. People are going to find tricks and stuff. So I'm assuming in around June is when there's like an actual like solid route that will exist, and I want to be part of that and try if I can optimize it and run it myself. So the first thing that I want to do as far as speedrunning is concerned is definitely any percent. Beating the game as quickly as possible. Now, in Breath of the Wild, it was quite straightforward, right? We beat the Great Plateau, then we go over there, we collect the strongest weapons that we can find, and beat the game. And that's cool, it's a hype speedrun. It makes it so that the stakes in the final boss fight are really high. It gives you some sort of like adrenaline rush when you do it. But the downside was that essentially 50% of your speedrun is spent by... also let me warp away from here, I don't really want to play through a thunderstorm right now. It makes it so that basically 50% of your speedrun is spent on the Great Plateau, which can get a little bit annoying and a little bit like... I don't know. It's always the same, you're always stuck on the plateau, so my wish was for Tears of the Kingdom to have a longer any percent speedrun. I had theorized in the past that it probably is likely that this will be the case, not only because the game is new and people will be worse at it, but I'm still hoping to this day that there's some sort of restriction before you can beat the final boss. Before any of the leaks happened, I've already said it would make sense for me that we actually have to repair the Master Sword to beat the game this time. It seems to be a central theme of the game. Whether that's the case now or not, I do not know. But that would be cool. I would enjoy a speedrun that's a little bit longer and actually has some, like an 80% speedrun, and actually has some, what's the right word here? Like mandatory steps that you have to do normally, because that sets us up. And when I say us, I mean the speedrunning community. That sets the speedrunning community up to find like really cool like sequence break type things. You know, like in there was only really one sequence break that people had always theorized in this game, and that was the Great Plateau skip. Being able to actually skip some of these shrines or getting the paraglider early somehow to get to the castle even earlier. In reality, it would have probably made the speedrun worse, but if, for example, the goals were, oh, you have to actually go and beat some of the sky islands and actually repair the master swords, through whatever means, then suddenly it becomes more interesting. Maybe there's a glitch like early master sword, where you somehow make it to wherever you are going to repair the master sword early to then beat the game. Something along those lines is something that I always saw in the potential for Tears of the Kingdom 80% speedrun. Whether that will be the case, for me, is impossible to say right now. But I don't think I'm going to stick with any percent for too long. It's a fun category, but I like speedrunning for educational purposes, for entertainment. I like the process of min-maxing and the routing more than actually speedrunning. And top any percent speedrunner, if you want to be one, your life will consist of essentially practicing the same tricks all over again, like over and over again, to save like 0.1 second in specific sections of the game. And long term, that's not something that I would enjoy. So I want to move on to a longer category, because a longer category always means more things to optimize, more things to plan out and think about. That's exactly, like I said, what I enjoy, right? So that immediately is something that I knew I wanted to do eventually. And my first thought was 100%. 100% in this game was a little bit tedious to do, because you had to do 900 Korok seeds. But in my mind, at first, I was like, oh, I don't know if Korok seeds will be back. Maybe 100% is more enjoyable now. I think it's a cool speedrun. People like watching it because you literally, like, essentially complete the game. Link was, like, hit there and then decided to fall off a little bit later. But, so in my mind, I was like, okay, I'll check out 100% this time. It would be really cool for routing. Until I saw the previews for the game, where it was evident that Korok seeds are still in the game, and it seemed like they were kind of all around the place, even in Sky Islands, potentially underground, no idea. But if that's the case, then suddenly 100% doesn't become as interesting. I also had issues with the 100% speedrunning rule set in this game. It was made at a time where I didn't speedrun the game yet, where they decided that you have to upgrade the permanent armor, like the Zora armor, the Tunic of the Wild, the set of the Wild, and the Champion's Tunic. These are the sets that you can't sell, so because they're permanent, they're required to be upgraded. In my mind, it either made sense to upgrade literally every single armor, or do not care about that at all, because you can't even technically have all armor in your inventory, especially if you consider stuff like DLC and Amiibo. So either the run would be awful, where you upgrade literally every single piece of armor, right? Or the run would be a little bit more reasonable, and my idea was always it would be great if you just get all of the armor pieces. That would have felt pretty complete to me, but then people would have argued why not upgrade them. I just felt like the rule set wasn't very, it felt a little bit arbitrary. Arbitrary in the sense that there was no tracker in the game that told you, yo, now you have 100% of the game. Now there is a tracker in the game that tells you that. Bottom left, you see it right now. I'm missing one location, which is the Zonai Ruins, to get there. The problem with that measurement is that you technically don't even need to beat shrines in order to get this to 100%. You just need to land on them. You need their locations, which would make all of these shrines end up, they would like glow orange instead of blue. But you could still reach that 100% tracker in the bottom left. I actually like that more, simply because it doesn't feel arbitrary. It's a single, simple rule. The rule is, get that tracker to 100% and you've won. You've completed it. I don't know if Tears of the Kingdom will have other and more, in my opinion, better designed 100% trackers, which would make 100% a lot more interesting to me. So right now, it's something I'm gonna look into, and if I like the rule set, and if there's trackers that don't feel as arbitrary, then that's probably what I'm going to move on to after the initial journey into the 80% speedrun. If that's not the case, and it feels like an even more tedious, longer run than this game was when it comes to completing it all, my next endeavor would be all, well, in this game, I like all shrines. It's my favorite category of all time. I'm currently working on another all shrines video for my YouTube channel, where I am planning to do a full commentary where I edit out all of the loads, explain everything, because it's kind of like I want this to be like my final speedrunning video on my main channel, as it has always been my favorite category, and I want to do one more kind of like commentary style video where I explain people why, what makes it so special in my opinion. And that's kind of the plan. Now, it looks like we'll get some sort of shrines again in Tears of the Kingdom. Zonai stones, swirl stones, whatever you want to call them. Completing all of those would be my next best bet. If 100% ends up being a bad run, in my opinion, that's probably what I would do. And the reason I enjoy this run, and traditionally have always enjoyed this run, is because you get to show off pretty much the entire game world. And that's still the case. Despite how glitched and glitchy all shrines is, at this point you still have to go through the entire kingdom, at least through some extent, right? So showing off the entire game world is what I always love, and all shrines being so short at this point is like under 5 hours, almost under 4 hours on a perfect run. On a perfect run it would probably be under 4 hours. Makes this a really nice speedrun to stream for me. So all Zonai shrines, all Zonai stones, whatever they're gonna be called, is, if 100% is not what I enjoy, gonna be my main speedrun moving forward. Other than speedruns, I'm also going to be planning to do some sort of challenge runs. I'm personally never a big fan of these challenge runs that are just like, can you beat Tears of the Kingdom with only construct weapons or whatever? Because of course you can. I mean, the problem is in this game, right? What made runs in this game like that so annoying is you can beat everything with whatever gear. Can you beat it with all Lionel gear? Yes. With all Royal gear? Yes. With all Guardian gear? Yes. Until you get to Dark Beast Ganon, where you're like really restricted, right? That's what always made these sort of runs, in my opinion, kind of feel bad. Maybe they're gonna be better in Tears of the Kingdom and actually more rewarding to do, but I'll probably wait until there's more interesting, kind of like intricate problem solving for challenge runs that you have to do. Something like, can you beat the game without Ultra Hand, for example, is in my mind, right? Without vehicles, somehow. Maybe just without, you know, maybe my video that I made on my main channel, where I beat every single shrine in this game without ever using a rune. That ended up being an extremely complex, like 30-hour endeavor, and that's usually the stuff that interests me more. I'm sure at the beginning people are going to do these more simple challenge runs, and if I do enjoy them and I get bored of speedrunning, I look into those. But the main plan is any percent first, and then either 100% or all Zonai shrines, and do some actually interesting, intricate challenge runs along the way. And if you're interested in that, I will, from this point onward, if you look in the description, I will always link my Twitch channel, where I'm going to be streaming the game on the 12th, when it's officially released in the entire world. And my VOD channel, where I will upload all sorts of speedrunning progress, challenge run progress from my stream, all of my Tears of the Kingdom casual playthrough. As soon as the game comes out, this channel will become active and kind of, you know, what's the right word here? Keep track of my journey through the game. Thank you so much for watching. We need to avoid this spoiler hellscape for one more week. So we almost made it. I have actually been having a pretty good time just doing completely different things than from what I usually do. Just playing games, not focusing too much on like the entire Twitter, social media, live stream. Also, I like how all of these lasers are aiming on Link's head, which I thought was kind of funny just now. It feels good already, and I feel like taking another week off of that hellscape online is gonna actually make me feel extremely refreshed and even more excited to be playing the game. And then once you are all done, share our experiences. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of the week, approaching the weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.